Hi guys, my name is Akorede Adenike. You are highly welcome to my channel. In this tutorial today, we shall be learning how to make this beautiful princess dart bustier top with front zipper. Now let's get into it. I'm drafting the front first. Here's the pattern paper I'm making use of. I'm drawing my shoulder line first. So after that, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches for my zipper, since the top I'm making is in form of shirts. And this is the front pattern. So from the center front, I'm measuring 1.5 and going to connect it just like this. So I'm writing it on it, zipper allowance. So from my shoulder now, I'm going to measure out my bust point. But before I do that, I'm going to deduct 1.5 from the length of my front pattern, because the top I'm making is in form of shirt, just for it to lay very well on my neckline. So here's the 1.5 I'm deducting from the front pattern. So I'm going to place my tape measure like this to make it accurate. That 1.5 is on my shoulder line, so I'm going to measure out my bust point now, which is here. This is my under bust line from the shoulder, and from my shoulder I'm going to measure out my waistline. From my shoulder I'm measuring out the full length of my top. So I'm going to make it straight lines, just like this. After that, I'm going to label them for me not to make a mistake. My bust point, my under bust line, my waistline, and my hip line, which is the full length of my top. So after doing that, I'm going to measure out my neck width from my center front, which is 3 inches, and also my shoulder measurement, which is half of my shoulder measurement, 7.5 inches, which is here. So from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'm connecting slightly like this to form my shoulder slope. So from here now, I'm going to measure out half of my round armhole. My round armhole is 16 inches, half of it is 8 inches. So I'm going to deduct that 1.5. Please do not forget while drafting your own place. So this is where the 8 inches is. So I'm going to connect just like this. So here is my chest line now, which is my upper chest line. So I'm measuring it together for me to place it here to make it accurate. So I'm going to measure that 7.5 inches, which is the half of my shoulder line, and connect just like this for my armhole line. So after that, I'm going to find the middle of this point and this point, but make sure you always deduct that 1.5 inches to make your job accurate, please. So this is where the half is, half of that armhole line. So from there I'm coming in by 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to connect just like this, just for me to draw out my armhole line. So from here now, I'm using the curved side of my ruler to connect it, but before I do that, I'm going to place 1/4 of my bust on my chest line, which is here. So I'm connecting with the curved side of my ruler, just like this. So after doing that, I'm going to measure what I have here from here to here all together for me to draw out my princess dart, because I'm making armhole princess dart. This is where the half is, half of that line. So from this point, I'm going to measure out 1 inch for my dart. After doing that, I'm coming to my chest line for me to place half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5 inches. because my nipple to nipple measurement is 7 inches. I'm doing the same thing on my hip line, which is the full length of my top, and I'm going to connect from here to here, just for me to draw out my nipple to nipple measurement line, for me to create my darts. And I'm connecting from here to here and from here to here, just like this. So this is my bust point line. Make sure you connect it on your bust point line, please, not on the chest line. Now to create my dart on my under bust line, I'm coming in here by 1.5, while on this side I'm coming in by ½ inch. So I'll just go straight to my hip line. So on this side I'll just come in by ½ inch. Which is here. So I'm connecting from here to here and from here to here, just like this. So after that, I'm going to use the cuff side of my ruler to draw out my bustier side. But before doing that, I'm coming down by ½ inch from my bust point line. Altogether from my chest line will be 1 inch. So I'm connecting with the cuff side of my ruler just like this. And make sure you blend all the sharp edges to make your job easier while sewing, please. That is what I'm doing. So this is where I'm cutting out for my dart, and here too. Now for me not to be short of fabric, I'm going to measure 1 inch that I measured here. I'm going to measure it out, just extend it by 1 inch like this, and recreate your armhole curve, armhole line, just like this. So now this is my new armhole curve. As for the neck depth, I'm going to measure out 3 inches. And I'm connecting just like this. So here is my neckline. So this is my center front. And this is my zipper. So I'm going to place all the horizontal line now by placing 1/4 of my bust on my chest line, just like this. Quarter of my underbust on my underbust line if necessary, to make it shapy very well. And make sure you add the dart you are cutting out to make it accurate. You know, altogether on my underbust line is 2 inches. So measure what you have here to add it to 1/4 of your waistline. That is what I'm doing there. I'm placing 1/4 of my hip line on my hip line as well. And to be on the safer side, I'll just add ½ to 1 inch to it. So after that, I'm going to connect all the points from here to here to here and to here, just like this. So after that, I'm going to measure 2 inches upward from the down part, just to make it look a little bit sexier. And I'm connecting with the cuff side of my ruler like this. So I'm cutting out the front part now. I'm done cutting. I'm going to remove all the unwanted parts. So this is my front pattern now. This is my side. I'm cutting 2 pieces, and this is my front, which is my center front. I'm cutting 2 pieces as well. So let's move on to the back part. Here is another paper I'm using for the back part. I'm drawing out my shoulder line for start. So from my shoulder line, I'm measuring out my bust point, adding that 1.5 inches that I deducted from the front part to it. Make sure you add 1.5 to all your measurement because we are deducting it from I've already deducted it from the front part. So from my shoulder to my bust point and from my shoulder to my waistline. After that, from my shoulder to my hip line, adding that 1.5. Please do not forget to make your job accurate. So I'm making it straight lines. So this is my shoulder line, my bust point line, my waistline, and my hip line. I'm labeling it waistline and my hip line, which is the full length of my top, my shoulder. So here's my center back. I'm cutting it on fold. No need for me to add any zipper because my zipper will be on my front side. From my center back, I measured out my neck width and my shoulder measurement, which is the half of my shoulder. From there, I'm measuring out 1 inch for my shoulder slant, and I'm connecting it straight to my neckline, just like this. So from here now, I'm going to measure out half of my round armhole, like I did on the front, which is 8 inches plus that 1.5 inches that I deducted from the front part. So here is my chest line now. So I'm going to place what I have here on this chest line just for my armhole line to be straight, and I'm connecting straight like this. So I'm finding the middle of this line, but before that I'm going to measure out that 1.5. From that point of 1.5 downward, I'm going to measure out half of these 2 points for me to create my armhole line. No need for me to come in by any 3/4 of an inch because I'm drawing out my back armhole. I'll just place 1/4 of my bust on my chest line and use the curved side of my roller to connect it from this point to this point, just like this. So now this is my back armhole. So I'm going to measure out nipple to nipple measurement, half of it on my chest line, and straight down to my hip line. I'm going to measure it out as well, 3.5 inches, which is the half of my nipple to nipple measurement, and I'm going to connect just like this. Now I'm going to find the middle of my back armhole for me to draw out my dart, my princess dart. So I'm going to measure what is it all together before dividing it. So here is the middle of it. So I'm going to connect from here to my bust point now, just like this. Now on my waistline, I'm going to come in by ½ inch on both sides. On my hip line, I will just come in by ½ inch on one side like this. So I'm going to connect from here to here, from here to here, just like this. Connecting from here, but before that I'm going to come down by ½ inch. So altogether from my chest line is 1 inch. So I'm going to connect just like this. So I'm blending the sharp edge for my job to be accurate. So for my neck depth, I'm measuring 1 inch downward, and I'm going to connect with the curved side of my roller just like this. So this is my back part now. So on my chest line, I'm placing 1/4 of my bust there. On my waistline, I'm doing the same thing, 1/4 of my waist. I'm going to add 1 inch that I'm cutting out to my measurement. So on my hip line, I'm doing the same thing, 1/4 of my hip. So to be on the safer side, I'll just add ½ to 1 inch to it, just like this. So I'm going to connect from here to here and from here to my hip line, just like this. To make it a little bit sexier, I'll just come up by 2 inches from the down part of my back part. And I'm connecting with the cuff side of my roller just like this. So I'm cutting out here now and here too for my darts. So I'll just cut it out now. So I'm done cutting. I'm going to remove the unwanted parts just like this. So here is my back part now. This is my center back and I'm cutting it on fold, and this is my side. I'll just cut 2 pieces of it. So this is my back part, 2 pieces of the side and 1 piece of the center back, since there is no zipper there. So this is my front part, 2 pieces of the side and 2 pieces of the center front as well because of the zipper. So I'll go ahead now and cut it on my fabric. Place it on the fabric and cut it out. Now I'm done cutting. As you can see, this is my back part. So I have 2 pieces of the side for the back part. As you can see, I added ½ inch all through here and the armhole too. So I added 1.5 on the bottom, 2 inches on the side. I added ½ inch here all through. I added 1.5 at the bottom here as well. And I have my lining too, but my lining is 1 inch shorter than the fabric. I'm going to remove my paper now for me to show you how I'm going to stitch it. I'm removing my pin. So I added interfacing to the fabric, as you can see. So this is my center back cutting on fold, and this is my 2 pieces for the side. So I'm putting my lining aside for me to explain how I'm going to stitch it for you guys. This one is for this side and the other one is for that side. I'll just place it like this. Let the right side of the fabric face each other and follow the shape. Stitch it from the bottom with ½ inch. I'm doing the same thing on the second side, just like this. Follow the shape with ½ inch from the bottom and stitch. I'm doing the same thing on the lining. So let me explain how I'm going to stitch the front. This is my center front and my 2 pieces for the side front. I have 2 pieces for the center front as well, and I added interfacing to the fabric and the lining, as you can see. I added 2 inches on the side, 1.5 on the bottom like I did on the back part, ½ inch all through this place and my armhole. Just put it aside. This is my center front, 2 pieces of the fabric and 2 pieces of the lining. I added interfacing to the fabric and the lining as well. I added ½ inch all through here and I added 1.5 on the bottom part. So my lining is 1 inch shorter than the fabric, as you can see. So now I'll go ahead and remove my paper for me to explain how I'm going to stitch it. Putting my lining aside as well. So I'll just arrange it like this. My both sides will be like this and my both center front will be like this, to make it easier for me and for me not to make any silly mistakes. So I'll just place my side on the center front like this. This is my 2 center front and these are my 2 sides. So I'm placing it on each other like this. Let the right side face each other. Stitch with ½ inch from the bottom, just follow the shape I'm doing the same thing on the second part of it, and I'm going to do the same thing on the lining as well. I'm done stitching. As you can see, this is my back part. So here is the wrong side of my back part. I'm notching the curve area to make it lay very well. After notching, I'll go ahead and give it a good press. And to know how you can iron your princess dart bustier very well, I have a video on that. I'm going to put the link in the box below. So after giving it a good press, notching all the curve area, I'll just place my lining on the fabric. Let the right side of the lining face the right side of the fabric, just like this. Let it align very well. And I'm stitching with 1/2 inch on the bottom from here to here. After stitching the bottom, I'm going to pull it up a little bit to meet with the shoulder, just like this. I mean the lining. And I'm going to stitch both sides with 1/2 inch. I'll just move on to the front part. Notch all the curve area. Give it a good press, and I'm doing the same thing on the lining too. After doing all that, I'm going to place the lining on the fabric. Let the lining, let the right side of the lining face the right side of the fabric, just like this, and stitch the bottom with 1/2 inch. I'm doing the same thing on the second part. After doing that, just pull it up a little bit and stitch both sides, both the center, front, and the side. So I'm done stitching. As you can see, this is my back part. I'm going to turn it to the right side, just like this, and make sure you let all the angles out very well. So here is my back part now. This is the right side of my back, as you can see. So I'm giving it a good press. So here's my front, both front parts. As you can see, I've already turned it to the right side and iron it. As you can see, it's very neat and beautiful. What I'll just do now is to place my front on the back part. Let the right side of the front face the right side of the back, just like this, for me to stitch my shoulder to make it neat. I'll just place the lining on the right side and place the fabric on the right side. Just follow what I'm doing, you'll get it. Just make sure the right side of the lining face the right side of the lining, and the right side of the fabric face the right side of the fabric to make it neat on the shoulder. I'm done doing that. As you can see, look how neat and beautiful the shoulder is inside and outside. So I'll go ahead and stitch my neckline with 1/4 inch. And make sure the lining and the fabric is aligned on each other very well on the neckline before top stitching on it. So after top stitching, I'll go ahead and place my front on the back for me to stitch both sides seam. So let me just turn it like this for you to understand. I'm going to stitch both sides seam. From the armpit here to the down part of it, from the armpit to the down part on both sides. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and turn to the right side for me to fix my zipper, stitch my collar. I have a video on how to cut and stitch the collar. I'm going to put the link in the box below. Here is the finishing look of it on my client. Look how neat and beautiful it is. So if you want me to make a video on the sleeve, just let me know in the comment section below. So this is where I'm stopping for today, guys. If my tutorial has been helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel to support my channel. If you have any question pertaining to cutting and sewing, you can join me on my Facebook group, Details to Sewing, created by Akorede Adenike. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Akorede Adenike. Please show some love by liking and following my page on Facebook at Akorede Adenike Sewing Tutorial. Till I see you in my next video, guys. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.